Hey everyone, Greg from Growbots here. I will try to be a little bit quicker than 30 minutes so we can still have some time for the questions. So please free to submit your questions and we'll get back to them in the end. So at Growbots, we automate outbound sales process, which means we help guys like you to generate more leads faster. And in the last 3 years, we've built 100 people company. We started in Europe, but we also opened 2 offices in the US. And currently we are approaching $5 million in annual recurring revenue in less than 2 years. And I can honestly say that all of this growth wouldn't ever happen if we didn't decide that we want to build a global company from the very beginning. Currently we are present in almost 50 countries, but 85% of our revenue comes from the US. And I think that the reason for it is pretty simple. US is still the biggest market for software worldwide. So I know that going from Europe to US is not necessarily an easy thing. So today I wanted to share some of the lessons that we've learned in the last 3 years to make your life hopefully a bit easier. So when we thought about building a global company, the first big decision we needed to make was how to generate pipeline of those international deals. Because if you want to grow fast, you really need a lot of deals, a lot of leads to close. And we've chose cold mailing as our main lead generation channel for the very simple reason. And the reason is that you can sit down in your office here in Europe and still contact customers in any country in the world. You just create a list of companies and decision makers that you want to contact, send a test campaign, and then if you can schedule some calls and close some deals, it means that you can start scaling within this country. And this doesn't only work for discovering new markets. With outbound sales, you can also very precisely define different market segments, different industries, and see where you can find your product market fit. And the whole strategy is that you just basically keep on testing different industries, different segments, try to figure out, for example, if small marketing agencies in Germany are a good target, if big tech companies in Utah are a good target. It's pretty simple to create a list of this kind of companies and reach out to them. And if you start gaining traction, you can pretty easily scale the whole process because right now you have a lot of different outbound sales automation tools. And sending 1,000 emails is not much harder than sending 50 emails. So once you see that some market resonates well with your product, it is pretty easy to scale the whole system. And we obviously tested other channels, and such as, for example, paid advertisement. But I have to say that we've discovered a few different problems. So the biggest problem is that with paid advertisement, you only reach to people who are actively searching for a solution to the problem. And the first problem is that it is only a fraction of the whole total addressable market. And the second problem is that those people are already in the buying mode, which means they already know about the problem they are solving, they already know your competitors, so your sale is way, way harder than when you come to them first and try to explain that you have a solution to the problem they didn't even started solving. Second thing is that we've spent probably like $120,000 on paid ads, and we've seen that our customer acquisition cost is 12 times higher than from our cold mailing strategy, and like 12 times is a huge difference. But I think that the biggest problem is that paid ads are completely unpredictable because you don't really have any control over the audience that you are contacting. So one month you will close a deal that is like 50K. The next month you will close it, I don't know, 5 customers, and then nothing for a month. So it's super hard to design your growth strategy when you have such unpredictable channel. And the beauty of cold mailing is that once you send your first campaign, you can exactly see what are the conversion rates at every stage of the channel, of the funnel. So if it takes 1,000 emails to close 15 deals, it's pretty easy to figure out how you design your whole growth strategy. You just need to do the math. If you want to close 75 deals, you simply send 5,000 emails. If you want to grow by 20% month over month, you just keep on increasing the volume of emails that you are sending to potential customers by 20%. And obviously you will have some up and downs, but more or less, on average, you will hit your targets. And this way, you can basically design the whole growth strategy for a year, for 2 years. And it's pretty simple. The other thing is that, as I mentioned, when you do it right, cold mailing brings a lot of value to your potential customers because you are the first one who is coming to them and says, hey, I have a solution to the problem that you might have. So you have a chance to be the first one to show them a new opportunity, and that makes everybody's life easier. Your life is easier because you don't have to compete with other people who are solving the same problem, and you are making your customers' life easier because you are really helping them to change something in their business. And the second thing is that if you do it right, you can still send automatic emails, and people will feel that you are contacting them personally. Every day we are getting a lot of emails like those, saying, Greg, I'm only responding to you because I can see that the person is writing to me, but obviously you are sending those emails automatically. So what's the trick here? The strategy we are using at Growbots is pretty simple. So instead of creating a list of different types of companies and different types of decision makers, and then trying to send them an email one by one, we are segmenting all of those potential customers into much smaller, much more precise groups, so we can write one email that still feels personal for everybody in this group. So just to give you an example, we can contact CEOs of a tech company in San Francisco, and this company is using Pardot. So then we can send an email saying, for example, hey John, I have a quick question to you as a fellow CEO. I see that you use Pardot for marketing automation, so how about sales automation? How do you approach this problem? Would you like to meet for a coffee? And then you just name the cafe in San Francisco next week. So this email feels personal, even if you send it to 5,000 people at the same time. And this is exactly how you should write your cold emails. So this is a very simple recipe for a good cold email campaign. You start from a personal intro, showing the context for a conversation. So here you have a chance to show your potential customers why they should care about your message. Then you should adjust the pitch to the very exact target that you are addressing right now. So the more you tailor your story to the customer, the better. It is also good to add some social proof, which means show your potential customers that there are other people like them being successful with your product. And with cold emails, it is very important to get people on the call, because this is just like the beginning of the conversation. People are not searching for a solution. They don't really realize that how big the problem they have might be. So you want to get them on the phone to really show them the whole opportunity. And the first email in your campaign is the most important one, because it will generate you around 50% of the responses. Obviously, you shouldn't stop after one message. You should add probably 2 or 3 follow-ups. After analyzing 5 million emails that were sent by our customers, we can see that after 4 emails in a campaign, your chance of getting a response is dropping to almost 0. So it doesn't really make sense to bother people more than with 3 or 4 emails. The delay between messages should be a few days. You can try more aggressive and less aggressive campaigns. It really differs among different targets. So it's all about testing. You just need to remember to send short, positive, and casual emails, because it's not really selling. It's introducing yourself. You want to start the conversation. So you cannot really only focus on pitching the product. And I could talk about writing good cold emails for a long time, but I think that we could use this time a bit better, and you can just get our 170 pages ebook that is guiding you basically step by step how to do it right. So instead of talking about writing good cold emails, I wanted to tell you how we scaled our sales organization to support all of this growth. So we've started very humble. We didn't hire a lot of people. Me and my co-founder Luke were the first SDRs at our company. So we started sending emails, trying to figure out what is the process, how to do it right. Once we saw some success, we started hiring some sales development reps in Poland, training them, and they started sending some emails. And once we've had enough pipeline, we moved to closing. So it was going quite well. We were thinking like, we are great salespeople. And at the point when we had something like 10 demos a day each, which is pretty hard to manage, we've decided, all right, it's high time to start hiring salespeople and building a team. So then we probably made the biggest mistake in the whole story. So I became the head of sales, and we've hired a few reps to start closing the deals. And I think that it didn't work out for a very simple reason. First of all, I'm not the great salesperson. Second of all, as a founders, you have millions of things on your plate, so it's really hard to focus on one thing. And it really requires a lot of training and performance evaluation and one-on-ones to make the sales team work. So after a few months, we've realized that me and Luke, we are still closing more deals than our sales reps, even if we have just a few demos a week. And we were kind of like panicking because we were not growing as fast as we were hoping to. So we started looking for a head of sales in the US. And we found Chad, who was previously a sales team lead at Kissmetrics and also a head of sales at a few small startups. But we were still not sure if he's like our guy. So we took him to SaaStock, to our booth, to see him in action. And from the first minute, we were really shocked, like how good this guy is at driving the sales conversation, how well he explains the benefits of the product, even if he only played with it for a few hours. And some people were even coming to us and asking, like, who is this guy? Can I hire him? And we were like, fuck. We didn't even sign a contract with him yet. So fortunately, it all worked out, and Chad is with us till today. And so we were super excited. We were thinking like, now Chad will make real salespeople from our guys in Poland. But no. His comment when he started listening to their calls was pretty simple. Greg, who are those guys? They are so terrible on the phone. So we basically had no choice. And we fired all of the account executives in Poland, and Chad started hiring people in the US. And this worked well, obviously, but we still had to cover other countries than the US and hire some people in Poland. So we've decided that instead of getting people from the market, we'll just start training some of our SDRs to become sales representatives, and Chad will train them. And this was probably one of our best ideas, because just to give you an example, last month, one of our Polish sales reps, who is 21 years old, this is his first job ever, he not only hit 200% of his target, but he also outperformed the whole US team, where people have like a few years of closing experience. So the top tip here is, if you want to have a great sales team, hire US head of sales, hire US salespeople, because they're just much better at selling than we are in Europe. And the reasons for that are pretty complex, but I think the biggest thing is just that sales process works completely different in States. Here in Europe, people are like, okay, just show me the fucking demo of the product and then I'll figure out everything myself. They don't want to talk about their business, they don't want to talk about the problem they have. In the US, it's completely different. People want to tell you what problem they have, and then it is your role to explain them how are you going to help them. So instead of showing the features of the product, at every stage you just focus on the benefits. You're not simply saying, oh, here is what you do. It's like what value it's bringing at the at every step of the conversation. And this is way better way of doing sales. And the second thing is that we think that people in the US speak English, we are speaking English, so we are speaking the same language. But the same words have completely different meaning. So for example, people in States will tell you, I love it, unless your product is a total shit. And we've learned this a very hard way. So when we were launching our first MVP, we've had like 50 people on like a list of people who've said, I love it, I want to buy it, before we even launched the product. And then when we launched it, nobody really bought it. So this is like how big is this difference, and it's really hard to drive the sales conversation if you don't get all of those language nuances and you don't really understand the intention of the buyer. So I know that this advice about like getting salespeople in the US means that you will spend a lot of money because salespeople in the US are super expensive, and this is why it's very important to think about growth economics of your business. So at Growbots, as I said, we've built this robust lead generation engine based on cold mailing with a very low customer acquisition cost. And then we've decided that we should start charging our customers up front, at least for 3 or 12 months, so we have like a better cash flow. And in the end, the situation was that we were spending something like $1,000 to acquire a customer, but the first payment we were getting from this customer was $2,000. And this way, we were able to grow pretty fast without much outside investment. The second thing that is very important is optimizing both sales cycle and training cycle. I know that our case is pretty simple because we sell a product for salespeople. So everybody who's coming to work for us was a sales development rep, knows exactly what problems salespeople have. So our training is extremely short. It's like 2 weeks. But when you think about it, 2 weeks sales cycle and 2 weeks training means that we can onboard new people. Then, because we have this robust lead generation engine, they're coming when the training is finished. They already have a pipeline full of opportunities, and then they have 2 weeks to start closing deals. And it means that from the first month, they're basically earning their own salary. So this way, we were able to add new reps pretty fast and without much upfront investment. And when you think about hiring people, it's also very important to remember that it takes a lot of time for them to ramp, so you need to hire in advance. Recently, we've had 2 flat months because we basically didn't hire enough people 4 or 5 months earlier, and we didn't have enough manpower to close all of the deals and generate growth. So now our sales team is a bit more complicated. Our new VP sales, Jesse, is responsible for almost 40 people right now, and we are getting much more specialized. So we still keep our demand generation team in Europe, in Poland, and those guys are targeting smaller companies that are below 200 people and only using cold mailing as their strategy. Right now, our account executives are only responsible for bringing new business, and they are also supported by business development reps in states who are helping them to build mid-market pipeline as we are starting to go up market. And we also have account managers in every team who are responsible for retention and upsells. And this way, everybody in the sales team is specialized. And every sales manager at Growbots is managing like 8 to 10 people. And this is exactly the structure that we'll be scaling in the future because we can build those teams both in Europe and across United States. So there are many other things that we could discuss here that are hard when you think about like scaling your business. But I'm not really the fan of monologues, and if we have this chance of doing a quick Q&A, I would really love to hear your questions. You can also send me all of your questions directly to my email, and would be happy to answer. And as I said, we've just released this new 170 pages ebook about implementing outbound sales strategy. We've sent it to some smart guys like David Skok, and they said that the content is solid. So you should check it out. And now let's move to the questions. Should we start with the questions on the screen, or? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was expecting this question, so it's a very good question. So I think that GDPR will really make everybody's life super hard, and it will be super hard to directly contact any new customers in the European Union. So it's not really our problem that much because around like 6% of our business is coming from European Union. So basically, my advice is to just go outside of Europe because it will be super hard to contact your customers directly. There are other markets that you can expand to, and that's probably the best way to do until we see the first rulings and we will see like how the law will be really enforced. Okay, so the next question. With so many emails, how do you avoid getting flagged as spam? So, as I said, we really care about targeting. So we really try to avoid sending emails to people who might not have a problem. And we stay positive, and we bring a lot of value to the table. So our campaigns are generating from like 10 to 20% positive response rate, which if you compare it to other like user acquisition channels, such as, for example, paid ads, where the CTR is like 0.5%, it's like a huge difference. So if you want to avoid spam, just don't spam people. Just talk to people who really have a problem, show them how you can help them, and try to be helpful. And this is the best strategy. Okay, so the next question. Where did you get the email list? Scraping from website, or did you buy them? Okay, so like we actually have our own product that has a database of 200 million people, and we've built it combining data from multiple sources. We have our own proprietary crawlers that are extracting a lot of information directly from companies' websites. But you know, the best way to get a contact list is basically to check what kind of tools there are on the market, and you have some very manual tools that are helping you to buy to create the list, such as, for example, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can just go to LinkedIn and pick people that you want to contact. You have a lot of databases ready to use on the market, so there are a lot of different products that can help you to create a solid list of targeted customers. Okay, the next question. I get about 5 to 10 cold emails a week from different companies. Is there a risk that when everyone is cold emailing, it loses its value as a channel? Another very good question. So I believe that every product is a bit different, and every target audience is a bit different. So the problem right now is that a lot of people don't really care about targeting. So for example, every day I'm getting an email from a company that is selling some explainer videos, telling me that I don't have it on my website, but we actually have it. So it's kind of like this is the biggest problem, that people are not focused on targeting the right audience. And if everybody will just focus on their own customers and really be careful about like who they write to, we will not have this problem in the future. And I think that we have some really good moves on the market. So for example, Google is improving their spam filters a lot, which is kind of like reducing the amount of shitty emails around. And I think it is a very, very important and good thing. The next question. How does the automated email response rate differ when it comes from you, CEO, versus your business development manager? So obviously it lowers, and this is why we still use my name in every email. So we are basically contacting everybody as me, as Greg, as a CEO. Obviously, as we grow bigger and the company has like a better brand and better recognition, it won't be that necessary. So I think that it really depends on the stage of the business and how well people know your brand. Because obviously, like if you're IBM, nobody would expect an email from a CEO of IBM. How can you, next question. How do you address privacy concerns, email opt-in with cold mailing? So here, again, the law really differs among different countries. So we are mostly doing our business in the US, where you have the law called CAN-SPAM Act, where you can write an email directly to any business person. The thing is that you need to provide them an opt-out option, which is either like unsubscribe link, or you can say in the PS of your email, if you don't want to get any more emails from me, then just tell me, and you need to respect that. So if somebody unsubscribes, you have 30 days to stop communicating with this person, and if you don't, then you are starting breaking the law. Next question, have you tested SMS? Not really. so I cannot really refer to that question. Next one, how can you charge people 2K upfront before people know your product works? A good question. So in our case, the value proposition is pretty simple. We are giving our customers a chance to speak to their own customers. So for example, if they pay us $2,000, they will talk to 3,000 people. And it's a pretty simple question. So do you think that if you send 3,000 emails and contact 3,000 potential customers, can you get a positive ROI on it? If yes, if it like looks good on paper, people are just willing to try. And so you need to think about what kind of value your product is bringing, and then convince people to test it out. Next question, what is your lifetime value? It's hard to say because we are selling the product for like 20 months, and obviously you can calculate it from like different kind of like churn figures. But I believe that, you know, when you are early stage company, you are constantly making changes to your product, you are constantly improving something. So for example, historic data from the last year doesn't really say anything about the customers that we are onboarding right now. So I'm always very conservative when it comes to predicting our customer lifetime value. What I focus on is rather calculating our average contract value, because we tend to sign at least 3 or 6 or 12-month contracts. So when I'm predicting growth of our company, I'm basically counting an annual deal as like 12 months of MRR and not more. But obviously, like most of those customers will stay for the next year and hopefully even longer. What is your pricing model? So our pricing starts at $6,000 a year, and it will allow you to contact 12,000 customers within that year. Subject line advice. This is a very good question. So when it comes to subject lines, you want to both get a lot of opens of your emails, but on the other hand, you don't really want to cheat people. So there are a lot of people sending emails saying, for example, quick feedback, and there is no feedback in the email. So this is a wrong way of doing things, because then people feel cheated. So what we've discovered is that the best subject lines are, for example, your company name / somebody's company name, or your name and / somebody else's name. And those subject lines are also great when it comes to avoiding spam filters, because then every message is unique, and it shows Google that basically you are writing some tailored content. And the last thing is also that you need to think that it cannot look like a newsletter headline. So you should think like, what is the subject line of an email that you are writing to a friend? So for example, it's not like capital letters in every word, because you'd never do it yourself when you send personal communication. So I think those three things are the most important ones. Okay, how do your SDRs handle it when the email comes from your name, but they have to follow up with the call in real life? So we have a completely automatic system. So basically, we don't call people until they land on a demo with an account executive. And within that process, we explain them that I won't be present on the demo, that somebody else will do the demo. So this is basically how we solve it. What other channels are you considering? Phone. Yes, this is the next thing on our list. The problem is that when you start analyzing the performance of the reps who are making calls, 80% of their calls are going directly to voicemail. So I think that is really, really not productive. And what we are trying to build is a dialer that is automatically logging calls to people's voicemails, so you don't have to call at all. At how much ARR did you switch from being sales focused to having demand gen and marketing? So we are probably the only 100 people SaaS company that doesn't have marketing department. And this is why, and the reason why is that we've just focused on growing our outbound sales engine. And now at the stage of like 5 million in annual recurring revenue, we think that it's just high time to start building a brand, start investing in marketing. And marketing is just expensive, and we were trying to grow as effectively as possible. We've had a very, very efficient channel, and in my opinion, if you want to do something, you should do it right. So we just didn't wanted to invest time in marketing before. Okay, we ran out of time, so thank you very much, and see you next year.